Kitchen Counter Oracle, day 1 of porch strike. Yes, we're talking $5 billion a day for every day they strike. And if I remember correctly, I read somewhere that one day of strike sets shipments back like a week and stuff like that. So that's why anybody who could see the writing on the wall said to get 3 to 4 months worth of supplies if you could get it. And for a while here in Terraland, we've been picking up on folks breaking and entering into people's homes and apartments to steal groceries, household items, and stuff like that. And it's just, I really and truly hope it does not come to that, but in some areas it will. I mean, I can't speak for everybody. All I know, I was told to prepare my house years ago. Prepare your house. And that's what I've done. I'm not saying I'm a wealth of resources in this time, but I'm talking home security. In other words, you step up on my property, I'm gonna whoop a bitch's ass. Because I don't see a whole lot of that happening in my area, because when I say there's a gun in every household, there's a gun in every household, including mine. A lot of us have guard dogs and so on down that line, or we are just in really tight with our communities and they watch our house for us and so on down that line. So I mean, to each their own. But one of the things I just had an epiphany about with this porch strike, it's about to have the economy on its knees, if not when I say this is about to have take the knees out of folks, it's going to take the knees out of folks, because instead of their usual frolicking, look at me, look at what I have, they're going to have to focus on keeping bills paid and food on the table somehow. They're not going to have a means to pay for the witches and the wizards and stuff like that, especially in the EU. I don't know what it is, again, about these EU witches. And the only reason I can think of they're coming in strong in the forefront is because they're cheap. When you put the current US dollar and or euro, depending on the exchange rates that day, it's either going to go a long way or it's going to go a short way. And the funny thing is they're cheap. They are dirt cheap. When you look at the exchange rates and stuff like that. But then again, it's I don't have boots on the ground, if you will, to see the grocery prices and stuff like that, because sometimes that really does balance out and everything. But the reason a lot of those families are able to support themselves is because they are taking on American clients, clients of the Western hemisphere and all that jazz. And that's really the only reason why a lot of them are able to afford food, gas, and all that jazz. But at the same time, now that the economy is about to really show its ass, these donors, if you will, are about to have to make a really tough decision: continue their spiritual harassment of somebody or pay their mortgage. If they have any functioning brain cells in their head, they're going to see that the mortgage is more important. Their children need a place to sleep and stuff like that. But the problem with some of these witches is they put codependency spells on their clients to keep them coming back. And some of them are aware of the exchange rates and stuff like that. Average mortgage in my area is anywhere from average about $1,000, give or take 100 or more. They're when I say these people are going to have to choose between the spell work and the mortgage, the spell work or their carno, the spell work or the readings and their groceries. Like, they're about to be forced to stop paying for this shit. And some of them are even gonna try to do it themselves. So the only problem is they don't understand what they're doing, which gives people like me the advantage. I mean, we can sense when stuff is being done to us, hell or high water, whether it's expensive or it's somebody from across the Atlantic. We can sense it. We really can sense it. And I mean, and the reason a lot of it doesn't work is because we're aware of it. We know what it is. We know what it's designed to do. Now, there is a little quote-unquote fan group of a certain well-known, reasonably, well, let's just say it, a born famous person. Sir, I'm going to need you to get the fuck over yourself. Because you got a bunch of teenage girls when they were just too young, stupid, and naive to know any better to do your bidding spiritually. And now you are having to find a fresh batch of kids to basically sacrifice themselves on your behalf. It's a little weird. It's a little weird. And the only reason, and it's like basically it's to keep some type of false illusion going. And the only people I know retarded enough to do something like that are those that are being paid to do it. They're about to have law enforcement or something start putting those pieces of the puzzle together because they're aware of these folks. They're aware of this group. They're aware of their quote-unquote obsession with a certain person's love life and stuff like that. And the funny thing is members of that family are famous as well. And no one has ever obsessed over their love lives like that, which is an indicator that something is off. Because it didn't happen with the older cousins. It didn't happen with the older brother. And so on down that line. But it happened with the spare. Which is a little weird. Like, it's got karmic energy all over it. And I don't do karmic energy. And the only reason I know about it is because the stalking of these now adults, they believed me to be that person. The only problem is I'm not meant to be that person, but what I am is a designated trap. That's what my energy is, a designated trap that a lot of people fell for. A lot of folks fell for it. But you know what? It ain't my job to help you. It ain't my job to save you. You have to do that yourself. And the thing is, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. And because some of these people are still trapped in that illusion of fairy tale love. It'll always find a way. It was like, honey, this is fucking reality. Let's get with it, please. Because the thing is, a lot of these the witches, and the reason I know what they're up to is because they've been attacking me for so many years. One of them is jealous of the life I have. They're jealous of the stability I appear to have. But the thing is, my salary is not the highest by any means. This is a person that judges by appearances because it looks like you make $100K a year. That kind of thing. They assume that's what you make. And it's like, no, baby, that ain't the case. And you stupid. Like, classic karmic move. They judge by But I have to remember at the end of the day that our poverty is their rich. And that's why they're mad. A lot of these people have poverty wounds. They have poverty wounds from their childhood, courtesy of not having enough to eat, a secure place to sleep, and so on down that line. And I mean, it's just like, it's not that your heart does not go out to them in that regard, but it's just, I can't relate. And they have spent a lot of time in the spirit trying to make me live out their childhood, live out their fears, live out their trauma for the last 2-3 years now. And God said, that is not what I have in line for her. How dare you? See, the thing is, you have to learn how to bloom where you are planted. And that's just something a lot of these young girls across the seas are just going to have to learn how to do. Not just address your childhood traumas, address your poverty wounds, but being jealous of people who are well-mannered, reasonably well-dressed, they hold themselves with poise and grace. Hating them ain't it. Because if you're jealous of that, just say that. And my thing is, you don't have to go to a fancy schmancy school to be taught manners. I cannot tell you how many videos there are online showing you some type of etiquette training. You don't have to pay for it. You can find it online if you really wanted to. But the thing is, I don't need a lot of etiquette training because my grandmother drilled manners and decorum down my throat from birth. She did that from birth. But then again, I have to recall that not everybody has the type of family I did. Not everybody has the type of upbringing I did, and so on down that line. But at the same time, until you address yourself, you're always going to be stuck in that rut. She thinks she's better, because there's also a really super country with a K reader in my energy right now, and she cannot stand classy women. She hates it. She hates them. And it's like, you know what the witches in the EU and this woman all have in common is a poverty wound. A poverty wound. And I will tell you this here and now, that this reader I'm sensing, she is behind a lot of the beauty and money block spells on folks here in Tarotland. She's behind a bunch of that. She is. She won't admit it, but she is. She talks about it a lot. But I mean, hell, because instead, you put me in Walmart, I can have a very classy work. I can just match an outfit and stuff like that. Like my degrees for apparel and textile design and all that jazz. You take me over to the makeup and cosmetics, hair products and stuff like that, I promise you, because before inflation, I could stock a person's entire makeup bag for less than 40 or so bucks. Just the sheer basics for $40. And the funny thing is, me being part of the hair and cosmetics world myself at some point, I know my way around the market. New products, old, who owns who, what's a dupe for what. Yeah, that's me. But instead of asking for guidance and how you can improve yourself, you would rather demonize, belittle, berate, and align with that person's nemesis. It's quite telling. It's quite telling. And my thing about a poverty wound is, as long as you fall prey to that wound, you're never going to escape it. As long as you are trying to drag others to live your trauma, you're not going to have friends. You're not going to have an ally. You're going to have as an enemy that is going to see that you fall when the tower comes to fully crumble. I said what I said and I write it down.